Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, as we all know, Ash Regan moved parties, went from the SNP to Alaba, and much furore, lots of complaints. The SNP are moaning, saying, "Oh, she should have resigned. She should have resigned." You can guarantee if she'd have went anywhere else and joined the SNP, they wouldn't be calling for a resignation and a re-election because they're two-faced hypocrites, as we know. But one of the side effects of her moving, of course, is that she has to physically move offices. And where she's moving to is right downstairs in the basement, where they keep the Greens. And the Greens aren't happy about it because Ash Regan is gender critical. She's someone who wants to stand up for the rights of women, not something the Greens are noted for. They want men to be women as well. And they're saying that they've got some trans people down there who will feel threatened by the little lady coming down and joining them on the same floor. Yeah, these big hairy ass men in their frocks are going to be scared of a small woman in her 50s. Oh dearie me. But we'll take a look at this to see why she is calling them childish and petulant. And for once, I actually agree with her. Let's go. So, Scottish Greens labelled petulant by Ash Regan over a complaint about her office move. The new Alba Party MSP is having to move offices away from the SNP block, but her potential new neighbours have lodged a complaint due to her views of gender reform, alleging their trans staff may be at risk. How on earth is some bloke in a frock at risk from her? What's she going to do? Kick the shit out of them? Now, I can understand if it was Ross Greer, but to be honest, any 3-year-old competent with a pair of boots could cook the shit out of that strange little man who is now saying that 4-year-olds would be far more comfortable being taught about homosexuality and gender identities and things like that and lesbianism at 4 and say that they'd feel much better. No, he would feel much better about it because it gets him one step closer to what he wants, which is why the Greens and people like him particularly are always pushing for the sexualisation of children. It's all he can get, isn't it, really? Because there's no woman would ever want him. No real man would ever want him. A gay man might look at him, but only as a twink and, had him once and broken his spine and sent him on his way. So, this is why he's all pushy for the sexualisation of children. Gives him something to aim at, doesn't it? Perhaps. Maybe. Allegedly. Anyway, the Scottish Greens have been labelled petulant after complaint. His mother must be so ashamed of him, Anyway, the Scottish Greens have been labelled petulant after complaining about Ash Regan's office being potentially moved to the same floor as them, down in the basement where you keep the weird things. As the Alba Party's only MSP, the former SNP leadership contender needs to move away from the SNP section of offices at Holyrood. It is understood she may be relocating to the bottom floor of the block, which is currently occupied by the Greens and also the Scottish Lib Dems, because there's only 4 of them. She's been spotted looking at an office here, which has led to disdain from Lorna Slater and Patrick Harvey's party. Yes, Jeffrey and the Imp don't want her there because Jeffrey and the Imp want to push for the rights of men to put on a frock and for everyone to pretend that simply by wearing a dress they've become women, which of course is a load of old rubbish. They are concerned about the safety of some of their staff members who happen to be trans. And do they really think that Nadine Dorries, that was the last video, you idiot. Do they really think that Ash Regan is going to go around and beat these people up? Is that what they really think? Because if they do, then it goes to show how effete and weak they are. Then if that is how weak they are, they've got no business being in politics. Miss Regan voting against the Gender Reform Recognition Bill when it came through Holyrood. And she's also been one of the most outspoken critics of it, resigning from her government to post to speak out about it. And as I said before, it's one of the few things where I do commend her for the having really the balls to stand up for her beliefs. There's not many in the party with balls, and it seems that the only ones with balls in the Greens are the ones that wear the frocks. Meanwhile, the legislation was spearheaded by the Scottish Greens and it's understood to be one of the red lines in the Butte House Agreement, and it's about to fail if all things go according to plan. This means the SNP are forced to try and make it become law or risk losing their coalition partners. They won't. The SNP tomorrow could drop that like a hot potato and go, actually, it's not going to work, no sod off. You're not having it. And would the Greens walk? Would they? Hell. They've got their feet under the table. They like the power. They like the Ferrari. And they are not giving that up. They've already said that they'll work with Labour, a unionist party, so we know that they have no no spine. They're not ready for the fight. They just want power handed to them. If you don't like my principles, don't worry, I've got others. That's the Greens for you. Anyway, the most controversial aspect of the bill is the fact that it allows mentally ill men to legally change their gender without the need of a medical examination if they live that way for 3 months. Concerns have been raised that this could mean that the end of a previously safe female-only spaces like changing rooms, bathrooms, crisis centres, DV units, those sort of things, will allow predatory men to access them. And they will, because they're predators. We all know this. This is why trans men, and I'm not calling them trans women, they're men who like wearing frocks, are 10 times more likely to be sex offenders. 10 times. And they always has to be remembered. That has to be pushed all the time. That's how dangerous they can be. And then also, of course, you got the case of the one that dresses up as a woman to entice children into his car because, it's easier for them to predate children when they dress like that. And that is why they want it, because they are pro-P. They're a pro-P party. They want to reduce the age of consent. They want the age of consent reduced to 11, which will be the stepping stone down to where they really want it, which is newborns, I think. It's where they want to go. That's the people you're dealing with here. They want to sexualise children. They've got a constant urge for pushing for that, as we've mentioned. And so, of course, it's all the same. And it's everything there. It's all, let's have men pretend to be women so that these men get the access to the changing rooms. So they can sit there when, maybe 9-year-old girls are in there. These men can expose themselves quite freely. And if anyone complains, then you're an islamophobe and you're the one in the wrong. Well, you won't be, because if there's anyone I knew, I'd have your balls in a jar. Quite literally, I would cut them off. I would hand them to you or make you eat them. Don't care. I haven't decided yet. See how it goes. But you try going in a changing room with my wife and you'll find out the hard way. Like I say, it's the new saying, isn't it? Fuck around and find out. And you will find out. Anyway, Miss Regan said that her conscience would not allow her to support the plans. And she was one of the 9 SNP rebels who voted against it. She used this as her basis to fight for leadership of the party, but finished third behind Humza Yousaf and Kate Forbes. On Saturday, the Edinburgh Western MSP shocked the world when she became the first Holyrood representative. I don't think she shocked the world. She might have shocked Scotland, let's be honest. Most of the world haven't heard of the SNP. Never mind, haven't heard of Ash Regan. But she was installed as leader of the one-person group. She's now leader of the Alaba at Holyrood, I suppose, yes. But her new office arrangements have caused concerns among the Greens, who have raised the issue with Parliament's presiding officer. Now, a spokesperson for Ash Regan has blasted the party for their petulance. They said, "It is disappointing that constructive suggestions by the parliamentary authorities to make suitable office space available are being weaponised by the Greens." So the allocation of office space, including where Ash Regan sits, is determined through collaboration with parliamentary authorities, reflecting the independence and respect due to our national legislature. Decisions are not for the Greens to dictate. And she's right, The Scottish Parliament spokesperson said that the Scottish Parliamentary Corporate Body has an obligation to provide office space and services to elected members. They said it explores all options when a move is required. They added, "We wouldn't, however, comment or confirm whether representations have been made." In other words, they know the Greens have indeed complained that this small 50-odd-year-old woman, or 40, actually 50, how old is Ash Regan? I think she's 50, isn't she? Let's just have a look. It will say, Ash Regan, 49. I'm sorry, Ash Regan, I called you 50. Soon, my darling, soon. But even so, do they really think that this woman is an actual physical threat to hairy-ass men in frocks? I don't think so. Do you? Coming up. One only has to look at the Greens and see what a weird bunch they are. I know, we all know Geoffrey and the Imp, and then you've got Gross Rhea, the world's twiglet man, who wants, obviously, he likes to get in rough with the kids, he loves the kids, doesn't he? Loves the kids, look at him. He's like a swan vest, isn't he? Very tall and thin with a red head at the top. You could snap him like that. There's nothing of him. And he tries to be the hard man of politics. Hard man. I've had tougher shits than that. Hey. And then you've got Maggie. She's another weird one. Wants to sexualise children. Always concentrating on children. Got a weird eye, isn't she? They're just all of them. They're nutters. They're dangerous. They're psychopaths. I think it's a party of fiddlers, you know. Pretty sure. It's like the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, isn't it? Every bloody one of them's a fiddler. Anyway, I'll stop there because they're just going to annoy me and I don't want to go on about it. Thank you very much for watching. Do pay attention at the back. I've got a weird story coming up about a tiny school. So keep an eye out for that one. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. And remember, the Greens are just weird. But you can break them so easily with the truth. Bye.